Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales and welcome to Symbaroum. It's our regular Wednesday night Wrath of the Warden campaign, and you are welcome. Before we get launched into the recaps and the sessions and all that TTRPG stuff, let's do some promo, as we always do. We've got a bunch of links down below the video. There's links to YouTube and to Twitch. You're watching on one. Please pay attention to the other in terms of subscribes and follows and all those lovely things. There's links to our social media, to our Discord and our Patreon. Those things all do what you'd expect them to do. And if you're interested, please do respectively follow us, join us, and give us money. Just give us all your money. Yeah, why not? We run 3 weekly series here on Twitch. Mondays is Shadows of Estrin with the Monday crew. Wednesdays is Symbaroum, and Thursdays is the Cincinnati Chronicles, which is an anthology series set in the old world of darkness. We also run a one-shot on the first weekend of every month. The first one of 2022 was Cyberpunk 2020. That is slowly going up on our YouTube. All the previous ones are up over there. So if you fancy watching us play loads and loads and loads of different games, then do take a look at that. And I think that is our promo done for the evening. How lovely. So let's start talking about a recap of last time. And first off, we're going to bring on the man, the myth, the poorly rolling legend. It is Mike, our player who plays Anton Theogoprios, all-round nice guy. Which is it's good he's got that going for him. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if Anton is really a nice guy because he seems pretty anti the let's save all of these helpless people caught up in occult discussions that are going on right now.
Yeah, it has to be said a little bit. And speaking of those discussions,
Mike, nice segue, eh?
Lovely segue. Let's kick off our recap.
Well, that is really how things kicked off last week. We were in the mission house in Blackmore, I think, and we were having a bit of a chat about what we're going to do next. And there was a lot of discussion within the group about the morals of how we approach this situation. And then it progressed onto not just, should we save all these people helplessly caught along in a fairly non-threatening cult for now, and into a bigger discussion of why are we even here? Are we here just to help Captain Marvello, or are we here for our own purposes? And there was some really good debate and role-playing discussion about all of that stuff. And I think that we decided that we needed to do a bit of both. We needed to help Captain Marvello because we said that we would, but we also really wanted some info from Red Eye about all of this. And we decided that we would go meet Captain Marvello at the agreed time, and we would quickly then hightail it to the Red Eye's tent, Garen Mar's tent, I think his name is, and try and get there before Captain Marvello and maybe do some interrogation or questioning then. But while we were having this discussion, it appeared that we were marked, we were spotted by someone who knew that we were there for nefarious reasons. And so we kind of cut our planning short and we made our way out as if we were going to go meet Captain Marvello.
Absolutely. And to let us know how this course of action went, because clearly you got out of trouble and nothing bad happened, let's bring on our second player, Chris. Chris plays Steo, former infantryman in the Dark War of Sorcery, a good 20 years ago, and current sellsword, curmudgeon and grump. Chris.
Yeah, so we were making our way back towards the center of Blackmore to kind of grab a pint, maybe a little light lunch, and then meet up with the captain and burn the place to the ground. When it became immediately apparent that we were being intercepted by what seemed to be quite the large group of this cult, the party made the sensible decision to kind of cheese it and secrete themselves among the tents to either side of this pathway. Steo having lost all will for basically, having run out of fucks, stood his ground in the center of the path, kind of partially out of kind of frustration and partially also just as a good distraction. As we were rounded upon, it's worthwhile pointing out that Aaron Dar was with me as well. We were rounded upon by an ogre and quite the small tribe of kind of humans, red-eye cultists, who bore down on us. Aaron tried to talk them around. I booped them in the snoot, or at least tried to. And then the other two kind of, with the element of surprise, arrived quite forcefully, and we mopped up quite quickly.
Well, not just the group in general. Steo mopped up exceptionally. Didn't you kill like 3 people in one turn or something?
I think it was my turn. I was rolling very well last week, and I'm sure I will pay for that this week. But it was also a couple of good kill secure moments as well. So I was sort of like just doing what I haven't been able to do for the first half of the effectively, at least for the first half of the campaign.
Yeah. And off the back of that, I think you decided to sort of change tack a bit, go back to where you were with the planning, and indeed you split up into two groups. Steo, Antom, and Alindra heading back to the Black Square to talk to Captain Marvello, and Askarai and Aaron Dar heading to Red Eye's tent in order to at least try some form of negotiation before the seemingly inevitable violence. And let's bring on our third player, John. John plays Sir Aaron Dar, final scion of House Dar. All around naive and nice chap at the moment, at least. Let's see how that lasts. Yeah, how did that go, John? Well, I bet
it went perfectly fine. We approached the tent much to the disbelief of a number of random passerbys who may have been maybe slightly trying to warn us to stay away. We shouted for parley. They did not agree to that. Started moving towards us slightly threateningly. So we decided to leave, but not before Askarai got like a weird piercing sensation in his chest, but I'm sure that wouldn't amount to anything.
Probably just an insect bite, probably fine.
Yeah, no,
probably,
it's a lot of midges.
Let's bring on Stephen now. Stephen plays Alindra, former Templar novice turned brutally violent sellsword with a distaste for both politics, well, for all of politics, religion, and letting prisoners live. How are events in the Black Square, Stephen?
Well, shocking scenes, really. Like, you know, the party was filled with anguish because we had hoped to go for a pint, and there was not time to go for a pint. We ran pretty much straight into Captain Marvello, who had arrived with the town guard pretty much at that moment, and they were kind of raring to go and kick over some bins in the garbage heap. So we just about had time to try to persuade them to make this as focused on Red Eye's tent and Red Eye himself as possible, to try to take Red Eye alive because we had questions, and to let us go on ahead a couple of minutes to see if we could catch up with the others and perhaps get some information out of Red Eye before the assault began. So that had been the plan, and we were heading down there slightly ahead of them to do that. When suddenly the two groups met again. And why don't we bring on our final player, Sam? Sam plays Askarai, Changeling Ranger, Scout, Sneakster, and Master Archer. Sam, turns out that definitely wasn't an insect bite, right?
Well, maybe a very deadly insect, but probably not. Things were going poorly for Askarai. He was slowly, literally dying to some kind of poison. Aaron helped him along a bit, and they managed to just about meet up as Askarai fell unconscious with Marvello and Anton and Alindra and Stio, who are marching towards the Red Eye camp. And luckily, thanks to some healing rolls and a bit of our very handy Water of the Dusk, Askrai was stabilized and is now relatively good health, although still coming back to consciousness. And I think Marvello and his band sort of plan to march onwards slightly ahead of us at this point to the camp, or past us at the very least.
I think you can keep up with them if you want. Like, the others will have to, like, keep you upright and carry you a bit. But like, mechanically, I think you are fine now. Like, you can perform at a reasonable level. One thing we should note, though, before we start, and I've got a bit of a suggestion on this one as well, actually. We've adopted a couple of extra rules, optional rules from the core rulebook that some people in the group are convinced we have already adopted these, and I just forgot them. I think that's heresy. I honestly can't remember either way. I don't think we have, but maybe we did and then we forgot about them. But either way, we're adopting them now. So first, and it's something that actually came up last week when Sam was making his death rolls, is whether or not to allow spending XP for a reroll on a death roll. And we have agreed as a group that is not allowed. It changes your chance of instantly dying on a death roll from 1 in 20 to 1 in 400. And that's too much. Like, we basically, having an XP free keeps you from dying forever, essentially. Well, not forever, but for a reasonable time. So yeah, we're using that. The second one is that if your pain threshold is exceeded in a scene, all your rolls after that in the scene are at a disadvantage, and that includes kind of your enemy's rolls to hit you and stuff. And what that means is essentially, in Symbaroum terms, that means you'll be for every roll you'll be rolling twice and taking the higher result, which of course in Symbaroum is bad. So yeah, we're doing that. Here's another thing that I could actually propose. We could, and this isn't in the core book, I don't think. Do we want to extend that to if you've been down to 0? Because otherwise, Askarai's fine.
If you've been down to 0 until when?
Until the end of the scene, again.
That sounds fine to me, but I'm not Askarai.
I mean, it seems reasonable to me. I think being down to 0 is probably worse than
having your pain threshold gone over. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine, like, you've been healed, so it's presumably the shock of having had your pain threshold be.
Yeah, like it's the equivalent of, like, someone nearly drowning and then being rescued and being like, oh, fine, you can breathe now.
Yeah,
you wouldn't. Obviously, you'd be in an awful state.
I agree. I think it makes sense both mechanically and roleplay wise for that to be the case.
Cool. We could talk, like, we won't penalize. It's just happened to Askarai, so we won't penalize. But we could talk about making it like a disadvantage for the rest of the day or something like that if we wanted after you're downed. But either way, let's just keep it at, we've just made this rule up now, and it immediately applies to someone. So let's just leave it at the scene for now, and we can discuss what we think of it. I put them on the spot there with that. It only just occurred to me because I was like, oh yeah, Askarai's just got up, and there's no mechanical penalty for that, which seems weird.
As the newest player in the group, I haven't yet experienced how rough things can get once you actually get into Davokar, so I'm hesitant to say that should be for more than a scene.
Sure, yeah. No, you're possibly quite right there. I think it's not too bad either. Even rolling at disadvantage, for example, like Askarai rarely misses an arrow, so it's like it basically makes you quite bad at things you're already bad at, and sort of a bit worse at things you're very good at, which feels right. So I think that works. Either way, we are going to pick up. John is about to counteract me with maths there, but I've said what I've said. So we're going to pick up where we left off. Captain Marvello and the players are marching towards Red Eye's tent on the far eastern edge of Blackmoor, and you're not very, you're about halfway there, but it's not going to take you long to do it. All around you, you see people basically running, kind of fleeing the progress of the city guard. You see some people kind of hiding in tents, but most people seem intent on getting out of the garbage heap as fast as possible when they see the kind of column of guardsmen approaching. Is there anything you folk are doing to prepare, or talking to Marvello or anything like that, or are we somberly marching forward?
Are Marvello's men like kind of looking inside the tents and grabbing people or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. No, they're not. No, we don't have to feel quite that bad. No, they're not. They're very much focused on the Red Eye, and like you see them looking around and like looking at people, but as soon as they see that they're clad relatively normally, they don't care.
So how shook does Ascarai look on a scale of 1 to your toughness level?
Ascarai now, in terms of health, is fine. He's a 7 out of 10. But I think, based on what happened, he's probably mumbling and cursing in his first language, which is a barbarian language from quite far north in Davokar that probably you've not heard him speak ever, and it is just saying kind of nonsensical things, which to him amount to, that was a terrible idea. I can't believe I did that. I should be dead. I'm an idiot.
In terms of the actual physical symptoms, I think what you'll have is just like it was when it came on. You'll have tingling in all your extremities and kind of a numbness, maybe around again your extremity, your fingers, your lips, your toes, things like that, and probably still kind of gasping a bit for breath.
Okay.
But otherwise, mobile, able to move, able to command your body. So
yeah. So once Ascarai kind of can walk without the assistance of myself and Alindra, I'll try and make sure I'm at the front of the pack for entering the tent.
Sure. So is there anything else we want to cover, or do we want to grimly march forward until we reach the tent?
I think we sort of briefed Marvello as much as we could last session. Like, I think too much in the way of pep talk now is going to just seem like trying to tell him how to do his job. Really,
seems fine to me. So with that in mind, it only takes you another 5 minutes or so to march through the rest of the garbage heap, and ahead of you see the same thing that Ascarai and Aaron saw only maybe 20 minutes ago. A very large and expansive tent made of various kinds of red fabrics, right on the edge of Blackmoor, and beyond it you see kind of rolling meadows and the like. We've hit kind of late afternoon or like mid-afternoon now, and it is late autumn. And I believe I said that kind of clouds had started rolling overhead. And indeed, right now, rain has started to patter down, which is quite loud in Blackmoor because obviously it just comes down on all the tents and canvas around you. So it's really making quite the sound. But even with that, you could hear a good 2 minutes before Red Eye's tent was in sight, you could hear the chanting, Ragama, the name, over and over and over again by a chorus of ragged voices, not as if some ritual is being performed or some kind of like ceremony is being held, but just a kind of like a mantra, like just a chant for the sake of itself. You come in sight of the tent and you can see cult members are swarming all around it. Marvello turns to his front lines, the men and women of the city guard he's brought with him, and opens his mouth to give an order to, stand firm and kind of form a line. And before the first word is even out of his mouth, the Red Eye charge. clearly they were aware that this day might come, and they are, as you've experienced, more than willing to sell their lives for the protection of whatever is inside that tent. We're going to go straight into combat, because there's really, I mean, if you want, Aaron, you can shout stop, but it seems, you know,
I think we're past that.
I think we're past that too. So we're going to need some initiative up here, folks. John, I don't suppose you have the initiative for. Have we had initiative? We haven't, because it's by brand. That's really handy. It's literally the same as last time, because it's exactly the same kind of, you know, there is essentially. The combat is larger than this and involves the city guards and Marvello as well, but I am just going to deal, as I usually do, with the opponents who have found their way towards where you are standing. And those opponents are, for your reference, they're just going to be... oh, that's a very low amount. Sure. Yeah, they're just going to be, let's say, 5 cultists. No, that's silly. That's silly. I've seen what you do to 5 cultists. Let's say that is 10 cultists. Shall we?
Reputation.
Okay.
No ogre, though. No ogre.
No ogre. Cultists at 11 and 13, yeah?
Yeah, whatever they were at last time, so it won't have changed.
Yeah, so... Is that just the same as that? Or did we move? It's that.
Yeah, that looks right to me. So, with that in mind, they are going to charge forward, and obviously I'll do my kind of random assignment to you. They are at the point where basically you're at enough of a distance that it takes 2 points of movement for the 2 to meet. So what I will say is anyone who basically charges them before their turn will not get a hit in, but may lure more of them to them. And anyone who they will charge in on that. You can work it out. You don't need me to describe all this stuff for you. It's absolutely fine. Ascarai, what are you doing? I imagine there's some arrows.
Yeah, there are some arrows involved. I'm going to shoot at these nasty cultists who nearly killed me.
Oh, that's another thing. Actually, sorry, John. There is another thing to add to the initiative list. Can you add someone to the initiative list at quick 10 and vigilant 13? And you can go ahead and just mark them with a question mark. But yeah, you're shooting at some of these approaching cultists. You know, I'm not going to go into massive descriptions until you make contact with them. It is a ragged group of humans and goblins, all dressed in that head to toe swathed yellow ragged robes of the red eye, with their faces covered in that red blotch of an eye on the center of their face. Ascarai, yeah, firing, I assume.
Yep. So I'm rolling at disadvantage, which
Yep.
I'll roll. What is their modifier?
Oh, sorry, yeah, their modifier is +1.
Okay, so I need 16s. I rolled 2 15s, so that hits. And the damage is a D10 +1. I rolled a 4, so 5 damage on the first shot.
Damage. That does not beat pain threshold. Are you taking a second shot against the same individual?
I'm going to shoot a different one now that I've realized that my marksman potentially pins them in place, which could be helpful. So I'm going to shoot a different one, try and hold some of them back and not let them all fight at once. So I rolled a 9 and a 7, so that hits again. And for damage, I rolled a 5 +1 is 6.
Okay, that does go over their pain threshold. Would you like to knock them prone or fire again?
I'll fire again. And we're saying this shot is not at advantage.
Correct, but any further ones will be. I think that was what we came to. Yeah.
Okay. I roll a 6 and a 17, so I miss.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, your final shot there, the individual kind of stumbles as they are transfixed by one of your arrows, and you're well used to this. You know, you quite frequently stop people in their tracks with your arrows, and you take a deep breath and kind of draw your next arrow, kind of knock it and draw it to loose, and then a cough racks your form, some lingering after effect of the poison, and the arrow goes completely wide and buries itself in the dirt. Elindra, what are we doing?
So Elindra's thinking is maybe if she can intimidate some of these cultists, we don't have to kill quite so many. So to that end, she's going to run screaming at them and activate Revenant Strike.
I thought that might be the case. So you're going to use one move forward and try and activate Revenant Strike with the other.
Yes, it just
a
costs
resolute roll, I think.
Resolute roll.
It's a resolute roll, and presumably gives you a point of corruption if it
1d4.
1d4 temporary corruption if it activates, because we are using the house roll.
Yes, so
You
I
do
need an
make it.
11. I get 11, and I'm going to gain 4 temporary corruption for that.
But your corruption threshold's above 4, right? So
yeah,
that's fine. That's fine. Because you're not going to use it twice in the same scene anyway, are you? So
that would be foolish.
I guess you could. Can you get corruption from your witch site?
I think yes. Yes, it's 1 point of temporary corruption.
Okay, so you've got one safe use of witch site then.
Yeah.
But do you still already have one permanent corruption because of learning the sorceress ability, or has that been cured in some way?
Cleared in Jacquard's heart, I think.
Yeah, Water of the Dusk.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Elindra strides forward from the group, and we decided, didn't we? There wasn't anything you particularly do in order to ignite your blade. You don't like run your hand along.
It's a kind of just a wordless scream.
Elindra screams, and her sword erupts in dark purple flame. It'll be interesting to see if there's any reaction from this from any of the more maybe I don't know. The city guard probably aren't capable of recognizing what is a sorcerer's power and what is general magic.
What happens
probably
in
not
Blackmore
either.
Stays in Blackmore.
Exactly. So there we go. And yeah, you stride forward, ready to receive the charge. Aaron, how about you?
I think I will grimly draw both my blades and move up slightly behind Elindra.
Sure. Absolutely. So the two of you are presenting a more appealing front than the others, I think. So I will now determine who is going to be attacked by the cultists over others, and we'll see how we do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that. I am going to say that on this D10 I have here, I'm going to say on a 1 to 3, they're going to engage Elindra. On a 4 to 6, they're going to engage Aaron. And then, annoyingly, 7, 8, 9 for the others, and then 10 is just a reroll, I guess, because I don't have a D9. So there we go. And I'm going to have to do this 10 times, folks, so bear with me. But it's always quite entertaining to hear people swear when they get what they feel is an unusual amount of attention. So there we go.
Happy you don't have a D9, because that would be thoroughly non-Euclidean.
Sure. Oh, you know what I can do? I have 10
I've got these
here
Cthulhu dice
in my little exalted bag. I can just make one big roll. That's a time saver, isn't it? There we go. This might be slightly loud, folks. Okay, here we go. So we have 1 for Arendar, 2 for Arendar, 3 for Arendar, 4 for Arendar, 5 for Arendar. Okay. Now, but what I might do is take some of them off because, like, you can only have so many people around you. In fact, I think there is a limit in the game of 3.
That sounds about right.
I want to say. I can't remember. 1 for Elindra. 2 10s that need to be re-rolled. 7, 8, 9. 2 on Father Anton. Because of course. And we have another for Alindra there, and another for Aaron Dar. Yeah. Can someone have a quick look and see how many people get engaged? Like, I'm fairly sure there's a limit to the number of engagements on like a regular sized person. And I think it is 3, but I could be completely wrong there. In the meantime, let's do the non-controversial ones. So Father Anton you have 2 people, 2 individuals charging at you, but they don't reach you to attack you this turn. They're just now engaged with you. We have 2 on Alindra, who can attack, but I just want to find out what we're doing with these potential extras from Arindar here. Any luck on the old engagement and flanking thing?
I can't see anything so far, but that was scanning the combat section rather than searching.
I definitely think there is like something to do with how many people can engage at once, but I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong.
Spell.
A maximum of 4 persons can surround a person or creature.
There we go. Lovely. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, in that case, I'm just going to re-roll the extra 2, right? Which both went on Arindar. Another 2 for Alindra there. So, okay, so 4 on... So clearly, as you'd imagine, most of them arrive at the people striding forwards, and then 2 of them just go, priest. Easy target. Let's fucking get him.
You always take out the magic caster first, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Although it occurs to me, we also need to check whether these 2 individuals hit by Askarai have been pinned or not, right?
Yeah.
So what's the counter thing that I have to give you for that?
I roll my accurate against modified by their strong. So what is their strong?
Their strong is will give you a +1 on those. And don't forget to roll at disadvantage.
Okay, so I need 11 or less. I got a 13 and a 12 on the first one, so he can still move. And a 1 and a 17 on the other one, so they can both move.
They can both move. Okay, so that doesn't change anything for us. Okay, so the 2 have just engaged Anton and can't hit, but we have 4 of them attacking Aaron, he said, with a slowly mounting sense of... Aaron's just going to butcher them all by responding to their attacks, I think, but there we go. I think because they were all engaging you, like charging you at once, I don't think any of them are going to get flanks on you. I think they're going to have to like move around the next turn to get flanks. That's just how I see that. So with that in mind, please, can you give me 4 flat defense rolls?
Okay. Also, I have a new mic, so let me know if my dice are ridiculously loud.
Sure.
That is a pass on 1, a pass on 2, a fail on 3, and a pass on 4.
Okay. Let's deal with that fail first, then please just give me an armor roll.
4.
Okay. A goblin leaps forward and strikes at you with their tiny fists, and does nothing, essentially. You just take a slightly sore blow to the ribs. Okay. Now I believe you get 3 free attacks. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
1 on each of them.
Go through then. This is because of Aaron's Sword Saint ability, right?
Yep. Master level. So first one, a target of 16. First one is a 9, so a hit with 6 damage.
6 damage. Okay. And okay, yeah. 1 second. I am just handling something here. 6 damage on the first one, did you say?
Correct.
Okay. Next one.
That is... Oh, that's a miss.
Okay. Next one.
And that one is a hit with 3 damage.
3 damage. Okay. So what happens is 4 cult members swarm you. As I say, only one of them kind of gets through your weaving defense of your sword. One of them is clutching kind of at their side where you can see an arrow buried. It kind of very briefly occurs to you that it's the fletching that Ascarai uses before you dodge their quite clumsy blow and run them through with the tip of your blade. They collapse to the ground, and another one reels away as you pull your sword out of the cultist body and kind of flick the tip across their face to leave a deep grooving scar. What that means in practical terms is you've killed one of them and wounded another one of the ones facing you. So let's move to Alindra, who doesn't have any such fancy counterattack mechanics, but is very unlikely to take any damage with the armor you have.
There is also the two-handed finesse.
Oh, that has long. Yes.
Are the goblin cultists armed with long weapons, Matt?
They're armed with no weapons, Stephen.
Right. So that's free attacks as they.
It is a free attack on each of them as they charge you. So why don't you? Yeah, go for it. Roll 4 attacks at +1.
At +1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fail. Pass. Fail. 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4. Okay, so give us damage rolls on those 2.
For the 2 that I hit. So we have
Mhm.
the Revenant Strike on. So the first one is 4. And the second one is 8.
Well, that one, as you can imagine, definitely goes past their pain threshold. Do you want a free attack or to knock them prone?
Let's do the free attack. So let's roll that. That's a pass on the attack and damage 13.
I think that'll do it, you know.
I think it might.
As they charge towards you, you manage to kind of like fend, kind of hold them back briefly with a great glittering weave of your longsword. It's shot. You feel kind of resistance as it goes through one of their legs slightly, and they give a howl. Another one dashes in, a human desperate to avenge their companion, and with 2 quick with a draw cut across them and with another thrust, you leave them just bleeding meat on the mud ground of the garbage heap. And now, can you roll 4 defense rolls? That's just flat defense rolls, please. No, 3. Of course, you've killed one of them.
3 defense rolls.
Yeah.
Okay. I am not rolling well tonight. Fail, pass.
Okay, 2 armor rolls, please.
Let's see. Armor is 1 d8. We get a 1 on one of those, and a 2 on the other.
Okay. The 3 that survive, clearly incensed that you've made such short work of one of their companions, dive for you and emit like the vague clanging of their fists on your armor. One of the humans manages to step inside your guard and get an actual swift blow against your chin. Maybe this one did some brawling in the taverns of Ambria in their time. Just 1 toughness. You feel like the lump already starting to develop just on the ridge of your chin. There we go. That's what the cultists can do. The ones against Anton, as I said, are not have only just engaged with him. So there we go. Well then, we have someone else to act. So, can someone please make a defense roll. I suppose I should say who it is. That would probably help. And I think that this person would. Yeah, let's just see. So, Elindra,
Right.
can you make a defense roll, please? At I'm pretty sure. Yeah, at a -3.
Oof. Yes, I can.
Is that successful?
Yes, I needed a 10. I got a 5.
Okay. Amidst the chaos of the fight, you hear an odd kind of like tinkling, cracking noise down below, and you look down and see in your breastplate there is the tip of what looks to be a kind of like a broken in half dart that it's just kind of it's not gone through the no, you don't have a breastplate, sorry, you've got chainmail. It's kind of hanging there in your tabard, like it hasn't gone through the mail and it hasn't gone through your linens or leather or whatever you wear underneath, but it's definitely there. And you're pretty sure Aaron said something about a dart in Askarai's chest. So clearly whoever is doing this is still here.
Okay.
Steo, what are we doing? So there are now 3 engaging both Elindra and Aaron, and 2 engaging Anton.
I think I can start on one of the ones engaging Anton. And
You absolutely can. Yeah.
And I think I'll take that at advantage if you don't mind.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can flank them as you come in.
So remind me, these are a +1.
Yes, their defense is a +1, although because you're flanking them, you also get the old thing, an extra +2, so it's +3.
Needed 18, got a 5.
Okay, and then that's damage plus a d4.
Oof. Oh my god, I'm very sorry. 11 in total.
Yeah, you just run in behind one of the ones who's charged Anton and just thrust your spear. It goes through their neck and they collapse backwards next to, kind of flailing next to a tent in the mud. Yep, that one's dead.
Kind of feel a bit bad about that.
Was that a free attack or the actual attack?
Oh god, long, yeah. It was a free attack, but I don't think you can then re-engage to attack someone else.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Unless they engage me. I suppose technically if I come within range of them, but it seems a bit cheesy to use it in this circumstance because I'm sure Anton can handle himself.
Yeah, you ran to attack someone and they're dead. Like I think that's the consequence of that. Speaking of Anton, though, Anton, you still have one. Vaguely, I mean, you can't see if they're frothing under the hood, but they are shrieking Regama and attempting to club you to the floor with their fists, with the weapons that Prios gave them. So, what are you going to do?
I don't. I'm in 2 minds about whether to attack or roll for some defense because this is the first of many waves. Now might be a good time to get some defense in, and. I'm not very good at the old attack.
Didn't you Blessed Shields? Oh no, we have changed scene, haven't we?
I haven't. I didn't Blessed Shields in the last session. I don't think.
I have a vaguely remember that you did when you left the Black Square, but I could be wrong.
Oh, maybe. I have got one temporary corruption, so maybe I have.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, okay. I think you did.
Well, in that case, let's have a flail.
If not, then oh well. Yeah.
Don't make it. Wait. Yeah, I don't make it.
Attacks at +1, so yeah, your flail goes wide, but obviously with Steo here now, maybe you're not in so much trouble, especially with that blessed shield up. As far as the rest of the fight is going, the City Guard and Marvello are engaging kind of as the more City Guard kind of run it behind you. I think I said there were about 20 with Marvello, and they're kind of spreading out along a line. It's not exactly a shield wall, but it's they're still fighting, and they're holding off the cultists, who none of them seem armed to any degree, but they all seem willing to die, which is in itself a weapon. But the city guards seem to be holding their own. There's maybe, you see one of them kind of like on one knee, kind of like holding his shield above his head as cultists try and tear it away from him. But as he kind of like starts yelling out, the two on either side step in, and with thrusts and battering with their shield, they manage to drive them off. Marvello himself is kind of holding his ground. Red Eye coming at him and being cut down methodically one by one. He has a very kind of methodical, staid method of fighting, which any of you who have kind of been formally trained will recognize as sticking very close to the fundamentals. And that's not to any detriment. He's got a sword and a shield and armor, and he's battering them back. He is shouting out commands and occasionally, and over time, with an increasing sense of futility, yelling for the cultists to stand down. Background to the beginning, Ascarai.
I'm going to take a couple more shots. Maybe the first shot at one that's fighting Elindra, I think.
Sure. The one you've already wounded or another one?
Yeah, I'll go for the one I've already wounded.
Sure.
Seems reasonable.
Go for it.
I got a 9 and a 12, so it hits.
Mm-hmm.
And my damage, I rolled a 2, plus 1 is 3.
Okay. Your arrow kind of goes through that one's chest, and you can see that they're kind of like struggling and just flailing their arms forward as they desperately trying to get to Elindra. Just about clinging onto life. Are you going to put another arrow into them or go focus on a separate one?
I'm going to try and put them out of their misery.
Sure.
I rolled a 13 and a 10, so I make it. And for damage, a 2 plus 1 is 3.
Yeah. This arrow enters their chest alongside the other one. They give a couple more half-hearted flails with their arms and then sink into the mud, first on one knee, then on two, and then kind of just dropping forward onto their face into the churning, bubbling surface of the slick morass under all your feet. Elindra, one of there's two facing you now, and one is already wounded.
Okay. Then I will go for the wounded one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Attack roll. What are we attacking at? +1.
+1.
Just scrape that one for the attack. So damage will be 7.
Yeah. The two of them facing you now seem, really quite desperate now that, they were a very small army when they reached you, and now there's only two of them left. The wounded one makes a play to reach out and desperately try and grab the end of your sword to try and drag it off you. You draw it backwards, severing most of their fingers in the process, and then thrust forward, your blade entering just underneath one eye and emerging out of the back of their skull. You reach up one boot and push them off the end of the longsword and ready yourself to face your final opponent. I'm taking it no other kind of actions, right? You haven't got any.
I'm standing and fighting.
Yeah. So, Aaron, you are faced with 3 individuals, and one of them is slightly wounded.
I'm going to make a feint towards the slightly wounded one. That is what is it, a flat attack or is it +1? Did you say?
It's a +1.
I just miss.
Okay, that's fine. You do your damage on their turn anyway.
It's true.
Yeah, maybe you're fighting defensively because you always do. You have your ripostes and your sword saint maneuvers, and clearly in this circumstance they have learned the error of their ways and are only very slightly kind of like, they're all kind of like holding back a bit and glancing at each other, and occasionally one will move forward. You whip your sword through the air and make them back off, and yeah, nothing else is currently happening. In a slight impasse. That is until their turn. So let's deal with this first. Let's deal with your enemies first. So the first thing I'd like you to do is make a defense roll, or 3 flat defense rolls, please.
Okay. First one is a pass. Second is a pass. Third is also a pass.
So no damage to you, and now you get 3 attacks against them at +1.
First is a hit with 10 damage.
Okay, next.
Is a miss.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hit with 6 damage.
Okay, that is over their pain threshold. Would you like to knock them prone or hit again?
I will hit again.
Okay.
It's a hit with 3 damage.
Okay. As the three of them look at each other one final time, and all of them kind of leap for you at once, you sidestep so that one of them just stumbles forwards and doesn't make contact with you entirely. The second one embeds themselves kind of up to their sternum, right up to slamming into the guard of your sword, and you whip that your blade out of them and rake across another one, kind of cutting their throat almost open to the bone on their neck. They kind of clutch the blood kind of seeping and gushing from their throat, but are still kind of like staggering forwards, desperately trying to get a hold on you to drag you down into the mud. So one of them's dead, and another one is very, very nearly dead. One on Alindra. So if you could make a defense roll at a flat defense roll, please.
Sure. That is a pass.
Okay, and yeah, just fists beating on mail doesn't do that much. Anton, can you give me a flat defense roll, please? You are on mute.
Yeah, I don't make it.
In that case, I don't think they can hurt you with Blessed Shield, but give me an armor roll, because your minimum is 2, right? And that's their damage. So
yeah, and I rolled a 2, so that is bloody good.
Yeah, they strike out for you, and perhaps it feels like maybe they did hit you, or maybe they didn't. But in some way, Prios has interceded, and their swing for you, they kind of draw their hand back, kind of clasping it as if burnt slightly, as those kind of like sunspot effect kind of like blinks out in front of you only for a moment. Maybe someone with less faith than you would ascribe it to just a momentary glitch in their vision, but you know.
I love how you're statistically incapable of failure, but you tried so hard.
So mean. So
roll better, and I'll stop being mean.
It's true. So let's have a extra attack. And this is going to be Alindra again. Can you roll a defense at -3 for me, please?
I pass.
Okay. You hear another kind of plink, and you look, and further down your tabard, kind of near your stomach, there is another dart just kind of like hanging there, caught in the fabric.
Okay. Sort of brush them away.
Absolutely. With a bare hand, or
I think I've got kind of gauntlets on.
yeah, so. Sure. So just checking. So Stio, is this other one fighting Anton not long for this world, do we think?
Yeah, I think I had best free up the priest for ecumenical matters.
Sure.
I'll take that attack. That is a pass. I needed a 15, 16, 17, 8. No, yeah, because I'm at advantage again, yeah?
Yeah, +1. Yeah.
Regardless,
Oh,
I still pass.
I
even if I'm
see.
not.
No, sorry. I should have said on their turn, but they will definitely have turned to like engage you as well, so you won't get a flank. Sorry.
Well, it's still fine because I needed a 15. I rolled a 16, but I get +1 for my weapon. So everything's good. Damage is through 4. 3? 4.
4.
Deep impact. Yeah.
Yes.
3 plus 1.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a bit more wary, and you manage to get a jab in on their ribs, which definitely cuts deep. But they are still up and at 'em. So let's go back round to the beginning. Let's see if we just finish everyone off, Ascarai. What do you reckon?
I'll do my best. It's hard.
We just skip Anton.
Oh, we did.
Oh.
We did skip Anton. I do apologise. For some reason, I thought we were on Anton. I'm not going to make any comment. So
I was about to.
Mike, why don't you roll that attack? If you're attacking.
Make it. Yeah.
Cool. How's that damage looking? Because you've got a bit more damagey flail now, right?
Yeah, I think it's a D10, but I haven't flailed in a while, so let me just double check
No.
that. Yeah, it is a D10. And 7.
Okay. So after that jab with the spear, the cultist fighting you kind of turns to face Theo a bit more clearly, seeing him as the larger threat, and that just spurs you on. You step forward, kind of backswing with your flail, and kind of swing it round full blast in front of you, and when it makes contact with the cultist's head inside that sort of yellow sacking, the whole hood just turns red in an instant as you feel kind of those heavy metal balls on the end of the flail just crush half the individual skull, and they flop over like a dead fish into the mud. Good priesting. So, sorry, I found a way to insult Mike for succeeding there, which I'm sure we all saw coming. So, Ascarai, back round to you.
So who's left? One on
There
Alindra?
is one individual fighting Alindra and one and a bit fighting Arin.
Okay. I'll fight the more alive one fighting Arin.
Sure.
So I'll roll my. Okay, I got a 5 and a 1, so that definitely hits. And for damage, I got a 10 plus 1, 11.
Your arrow transfixes them through the eye and they collapse backwards, or where you assume their eye to be. Either way, they collapse backwards very quickly. Second shot.
Nice. I'll shoot the one facing Alindra, I suppose. And I got a 9 and 11, so that is good enough. And I got a 9 plus 1 is 10 on damage.
Let's just go ahead and say you managed the same trick twice. To let's say they were both goblins, and both goblins go sprawling at the feet of their assailants, no longer for this world. Alindra, that frees you up. Let me describe where we are with the scene. The city guard are still engaged. They're definitely slower at killing these cultists than you are. But they're kind of making their way forwards, and slowly but surely progress is being made towards the flaps at the front of the tent. You can hear some more cries from inside the tent from where you are. You're not too far off. And now you have a absolutely clear line. There are no cultists between you and that tent.
If we've punched a hole in the line, I would like to run at the tent.
Absolutely. It will take you a movement to get inside the tent, and then I'm happy for you to take whatever second action is you want when you see what is inside.
Sure. Then I will run into the tent.
Sure. You dash forward. As I say, it's a very large tent, and those flaps at the door of fabric are kind of flapping up and down, and being kind of hammered by the rain, which is only increasing. The wind has got up as well, and in general, you have to kind of like batter the thick canvas aside as you make your way through. Inside, you see that there are still more cultists to be dealt with. Specifically, there are 5 other human or goblin individuals in there who are formed like a little kind of final line. All of them have what appear to be kind of like just kind of kitchen knives, kind of like small weapons reclaimed from other uses. But stood right behind them, there's another one of the tall, looming ogre cultists, again with like a tree branch that's had bits hacked off it. And at the very back of the tent, which is mostly empty, it has to be said, there are some bedrolls on the floor. There's a small table which has a small scattering of food on it and a couple of kind of candles that are lit. At the back of the room, you can see a somewhat shadowy individual who appears to be perhaps kind of has an odd kind of hunch and an odd form, lurking behind a very makeshift barricade of half-filled sacks. That individual appears to have a very poorly made crossbow of some kind, which he is aiming at you. Further back, you can see that there is what appears to be a very roughly hacked and carved set of packed earth steps down below the surface of the ground.
Okay. So exits from the tent are where I've just come in, and down underground, and beyond that, people are going to have to cut their way out if they wanted to do that?
Correct.
Okay. It seems unlikely that these 5 goblin human cultists and the ogre are going to let me just sort of go past them. So I suppose I'm just going to have to engage the ones at the front.
Sure. Well, let's do that then. I'm going to be a little bit cheeky and say that as you charge into the ones at the front, the ogre like hefts one of the goblins aside and steps forward to like strike at you with that branch.
Okay.
So let's say you are engaging, 4 cultists or 3 cultists and the ogre. Sorry.
Right. Well, if the ogre has stepped into the front line, let's start with the ogre. Is his branch long?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Long engagement. The branch is indeed long. Yeah.
Okay.
So that cancels each other out, right, Chris? Our long expert.
Yes.
Neither person gets an attack, a free attack. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just a standard attack then.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, I'm a long expert now.
So yeah, you are absolutely. You are. Well. Yeah, because I think you'll just get your long attacks because you've moved forward to engage them in the middle of the tent. If you see what I mean? But you still get your long attacks because you're engaging. Does that make sense?
No, you so the long weapons only give you the free attack when you engage with someone who doesn't have a long weapon. If you both have a long weapon, then it's just
but the other 3 cultists don't.
Oh, that's true. But I'm aiming for the ogre. So
it doesn't matter if you're engaging them.
Oh, I see. Right. So yeah. Okay. So
because they're just a group.
When they come to attack me, yes, I see. Well, let's start. I guess we'll start with me then attacking the ogre and the cultists.
No, you won't get an attack in. That's what I'm saying. You're engaging. You're not, because it's going to take you the movement action.
Oh, I see. Right. So it's like a movement into the tent, and then
and then the movement to the group
to the line.
But because you're engaging 3 of them who don't have long weapons, you also get 3 free attacks.
Understood.
Cool. Can we add the ogre into the sequence, please, John? You've already got it. That's fine. So 3 free attacks at +1, please.
Okie dokie, we're going to do that now. 3 attacks +1. That is a pass, a fail, and a pass.
Pass, fail, pass.
Damage for 2 of those then.
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie. 4 for the first one and 8 for the second one.
You're remembering your Revenant Strike, right?
That's included the Revenant Strike.
Yeah. Okay. So the 8 is definitely over their pain threshold. Another strike or knocking them prone?
Let's finish them off. I'm a bit outnumbered here.
Seems perfectly reasonable.
So that is a success on the attack, and damage is 14.
That'll do it. Yeah. So as you charge forward, kind of, let's say these are all goblins, and one of the goblins is sliced deep along its side by your blade as you charge, and the other one, as it comes at you, you manage to kind of swing your sword round and cleave forward and more or less chop this goblin. You bisect the goblin vertically. Essentially, your sword passes out the other side of their groin, and the two halves flop to the ground, spilling organs and copious amounts of blood everywhere, making the footing even more slick and unpleasant, and filling the tent with the foul stench of innards. Can you make me, please?
Yep.
Let's say it's I'm going to ask for an accurate roll.
Oof.
At +3.
Accurate is not my strong point. Oh, but I passed that. I needed an 8 and I got a 3.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry, John. There's another person to add to the initiative list. Can you add Red Eye, please? And his stats are Quick 7, Vigilant 13. So I think he's going to come right at the end there.
It does.
I'm just waiting for the rest of the party to decide that they don't fancy coming into the tent just yet.
Sure. I think it'll be fine, honestly. Well, maybe apart from this individual, because the ogre is now taking its strike at you. So can you make a defense roll, please? At a -5.
Ooh, I need an 8. I get a 9. So
okay, so that's an armor roll, if you please.
Roll 3.
Okay. The ogre kind of steps forward, and unlike what you think the ogre is just going to like swing, left and right with that large tree branch. Instead, it's almost like stands its ground slightly and just flips over into like almost a quarterstaff position and just thrusts it forward, and it rams right into the base of your sternum and leaves you gasping with a sore sensation spreading out along your ribs. Take 2 toughness, please.
Damn.
Aaron, back outside. What are we doing?
I think everyone out here could potentially deal with this remaining cultist on me, and Alindra might need help. So I'm going to try an acrobatics roll.
Ooh.
So I may roll against quick to avoid free attacks from enemies in melee combat, either when trying to slip past an enemy or when attempting to withdraw from melee. If I fail the test, I can change my mind.
Okay. Is it opposed by them in any way, or is it just a base quick test for you?
It just says quick roll.
Yep, go for it then.
Okay, so my quick is 13. I roll a 6.
Yeah. This individual is desperately trying to hold their throat together, is stumbling towards you. You easily duck aside, and I take it you're running into the tent.
Yes.
Yeah, you absolutely do that. And the scene ahead of you is as I described it. So there are 2 cultists and an ogre cultist facing off against Alindra. There are 2 other cultists kind of like poking around the side, trying to get to Alindra, but having to wait their turn, essentially. And at the back of the tent, there is a hunched individual in the shadows. And as you enter, his head kind of twitches round to look at you, maybe with one eye being better than the other, and you see a red gleam in the slight shadows at the edge where he tilts his head to look at you closer.
Does that 2 movements to get to that
Nope,
point?
1 movement.
Oh, and then another movement to move up to Alindra.
If you want to engage with any of the opponents, it's going to be a move to do that. Yeah. And there are 2 unengaged cultists. If you wanted to, I'm happy with you just engaging both of them if you want.
I'm trying to think whether I would be foolish enough to try and talk this red-eyed individual into calling off his men. Probably not while Alindra's under threat. I'm going to move forward and engage the cultists, the spare.
The
cultists.
unengaged 2. Yeah, the 2 goblins who currently have no enemies. Yep, absolutely. You don't get any free attacks when engaging, do you? So
No.
So with that in mind, then it's time for the cultists' turn. The one outside, who now has no opponent, is going to stagger towards Anton, of course. Who else would it be? And they will get an attack on Anton. So Anton, if you can roll your defense, please.
I don't make it.
Which is fine because you literally cannot be damaged by these guys.
Yeah, roll a 3.
Yeah, again, they're you know what? I'll just judge in this case. They just miss. They're trying desperately to hold all their blood from falling out of their body, and they're not fighting. They're just still alive, essentially. So let's put it that way. The cultists inside. Let's start with the 2 fighting Alindra.
I hate to mention it, but in case you'd forgotten, they are presumably flanking me.
Yes. Well, they can. Yeah, they can move. Can they move to flank if they're already engaged?
Well, I'm focused on the ogre and I'm outnumbered, so I mean.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yes, that's perfectly. And thank you for reminding me. So yeah, if they can move, so an enemy flanking should get an extra +1 to their attack, not +2, right? What should it? No. So that's fine. So essentially, give me a defense roll at 2 defense rolls at +2.
+2.
I got there in the end.
Fail.
Okay. 2 armor rolls then, please.
A 2. Gosh. And a 5.
Okay. Both of these goblins kind of scamper around to one side of you and kind of grab and hold themselves onto you in an attempt to kind of like bring you down to make you eminently more clubbable for the ogre. One of them actually scrambles up your side and is holding on to the straps of your tabard on the side and drags it down enough that they reach up and sink 2 tiny canines into the flesh of your neck and literally just bite a chunk out of the space between your neck and your shoulder, which is now bleeding quite copiously, and you can feel like a warm rush flow down the back of your between your chainmail and your skin. Take 2 toughness, please.
All right.
That was the extra damage from the flanking, basically. So Aaron, 2 defense rolls, please. 2 flat defense rolls.
Okay.
I guess we should have talked about we should have calculated the flanking for the previous wave of cultists as well, but we forgot.
I remembered after they were dead, so I thought I'd be super honest this time round. And look where it got me.
Yeah.
First one is success, and if it's a flat defense, then the second one is as well. I don't know if
it is a flat defense.
As I approached, yeah, 2 successes.
Okay, so make your 2 attacks then.
Okay, first one is a hit with 11 damage.
Okay, you don't look so sad. Like these aren't meant to be difficult opponents. You're not ruining my day. You're just killing a lot of poor.
You're ruining their day.
You're just killing a lot of poor deluded refugees. Next.
Should I roll a second one for that? Like, did it go over pain threshold?
I mean, you killed it in one. It's fine.
Okay. And 4 damage on the second one.
Decided to let that one live, huh? Okay. So Oh dear. Please come back, John. There we go. So you the two of them scramble towards you. You kind of back one of them off with a slash that draws plenty of blood out of their stomach. The next one you just thrust forward and impale on their throat on the end of your blade. There's now only one of them facing you. So, outside, someone is going to take another shot. Steo. Can you give me a defense roll at -3, please?
Oof. He does it! I'm so sorry, but I'm also not sorry.
That's fine. In among kind of, because your ears are full with the pattering of the rain on tents, on mud, on your plate armor itself, which is making a hell of a noise. But through that, you kind of like toss your head to one side a bit. And does Theo have long hair? I can't remember.
No,
he doesn't, does he?
Short.
It's pretty short.
I originally drew him with long, and then Chris specifically asked that it be cut off.
So you basically just feel something odd, kind of similar to where Lindra's been bit, in kind of the crook of your neck and your shoulder. And you take one moment to kind of reach up and grasp, and with your gauntlets you pull back a dart that seems to have kind of snagged itself in the kind of undercloth of your armor, and presumably you toss it away rather quickly.
Just after I've just taste tested it, I suppose.
Yeah, just put up the nose, give it a bit of a yeah, no problem. Steo, it's your turn now. There is one very nearly dead individual left, and Alindra and Aaron have run into the tent.
I think we've got a job to do, and that poor gentleman needs to look after his blood and hopefully sort himself out. So I'm also going to make for the tent.
Let Anton take that kill. So it's going to take you 2 movement to get to the flap of the tent, so you are still kind of like in that doorway when you arrive. But you can now see all the events inside the tent, and the ones outside for that matter, because you're kind of just stood in that flap. Anton.
Yeah, I'm making my way inside the tent, I guess.
Sure. I think you're actually engaged with someone, aren't you? You're engaged with the fellow with the very, very bloody neck.
In that case, I'll do a fight.
Fight. Sure.
Make it and 3 damage.
That is more than enough. You swing and club the individual in the chest with your flail, and they topple to the ground, losing their grip on their neck, where blood suddenly rushes out and fills several kind of like puddles nearby with blood. I think this entire area is probably quite bloody and mangled right now. The city guard are basically just putting the finishing touches on the cultists that are left. Marvello is looking around and taking stock before he orders kind of some or all of them to kind of proceed towards the tent. I mean, not all of them would fit in the tent. It's a very large one, like a kind of marquee tent that's been stitched together, but still getting 20 city guard in there would be a push. Red Eye is going to fire at Aaron Dar. And Aaron Dar, can you please make a defense roll at +3? No, not a +3. Sorry, that's absolute rubbish. A defense roll at +1.
I rolled a 19, so that is a fail.
That is a fail. Can you give me an armor roll, please?
Yes. 3. No.
Okay.
4.
4.
Okay, +1.
Okay, you feel the whistle of a ill-made crossbow bolt pass by your face, and you think it has missed you entirely before you feel like a stinging, smarting sensation along one cheek as it's just literally grazed a line, quite a deep cut underneath there, and you feel kind of blood running down and kind of getting. Aaron's clean shaven, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you feel kind of blood just start gently dripping down your face. It doesn't feel like a horrible wound. It is just one toughness. But a wound nevertheless. So let's go back round, folks. Ascarai, there are no more enemies for you out here. Can I safely assume you are dashing towards that tent flap?
I haven't seen
Or-
anyone firing darts.
Give me a
during this
vigilant
fight.
roll. Give me a vigilant roll at -1, please.
Okay. This is a disadvantage. I need a 14. I got a 1 and a 7, so I make it.
With that 1, let's do something fun with this.
Well, the 1 should not really count, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, the 1 doesn't count because of the
Yeah.
disadvantage. That's fine, that's fine. So, as you are kind of surveying the battlefield and making sure that all the cultists that have kind of came in that first wave are down, you see an individual, let's say, you know how behind the tent, Red Eye's tent, it's just like the rolling fields and meadows and stuff, like it's right on the edge of the wilderness, essentially. Let's say there's a tree. There's a tree not so far from the tent, maybe about 30 feet or so, and you see a black-clad individual lurking in the kind of... It's a tree that still has some of its leaves, even though it's near the end of autumn. And there's an individual lurking behind the branches and the leaves of this tree up there, crouched over. And as you spot them, you see a slight metallic glint, perhaps as of someone wielding some kind of small metal, a weapon, a crossbow, maybe a bow, something along those lines, and seemingly surveying the battlefield themselves for an opportune target.
I'm trying to think whether Asgrai would, having seen this, recognize or realize that this is a person trying to do him harm. I don't know.
Give me a cunning roll. I'm happy for you to make a cunning roll. How about that?
Okay, I'll make a cunning roll, and that can decide. I got 2 9s, which I think makes it. Yes, it does make it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a small... You know what? You can detect that it seems to be a small, quite advanced sort of hand crossbow. It probably fires things around the size of the dart that you plucked out of your chest.
Realizing that Ascrai is definitely going to shoot at this man.
Sure. I'm probably going to judge that those rolls we just made constitute one half of your firing. So I'm going to say you only get 1 shot off this round. How about that?
Okay. What is the modifier?
The modifier is flat.
Okay, so I need 15s.
But you know what? I'm actually going to knock some off for the tree, I think. I'm going to say it's at -2 for the tree.
Okay, I need 13 on 2. I got a 15 and 18, so both fail.
Both fail. Your arrow kind of like embeds itself in the tree near the individual, who kind of glances down with alarm that they've been spotted. So clearly they know you're onto them now. Elindra, how's it going inside? Are we gonna strike at that ogre?
Yeah, I'm sort of being dogpiled by cultists, but I think the ogre is probably still the biggest threat, and so that's the thing that I'm going for.
Sure. Well, the ogre's defense is a -1.
Right.
It turns out, even if you're big, if you don't wear any armor, get a pretty good defense.
He's an ogre, but he's a red-eye cultist ogre.
Yeah.
That is a success to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
7 damage.
7 damage, and that incorporates Revenant Strike,
It
right?
does, yeah.
Okay. So no armor, but has tough skin from being an ogre with robust level 2. So yeah, I mean it wasn't close to the pain threshold anyway. Yeah, your blade whips out and chops a deep line into the ogre's arm, but it simply kind of like changes the grip on the tree branch with a grunt and whistles it round to try and smack you with it again. You'd say this ogre probably has actually had some form of combat training, unlike all the other red eye that you've faced to this point. Elindra, can you please roll for me accurate at, I'd say, +2.
Accurate +2.
Mm-hmm.
That amazingly is a success. Again, I needed a 7. I got a 3.
That's absolutely fine then. And we're going to move straight on to the ogre's return strike at you. So that's a defense roll at -5, please.
So I need an 8. We're going to get 18.
That is not 8. So armor roll, please.
7.
7. This time the tree branch kind of collides pretty square on with the front of your tabard, and the chain mail kind of disperses the blow. It hurts. It smarts like hell. Big chop to the chest, but no damage. You feel both the mail and your ribs hold up to the blow. So that's absolutely fine. Aaron, you are facing one opponent.
Okay, let's try to down them. That is a hit and 4 damage.
Okay, and yeah, they are still on their feet, but after a flurry of slashes and stabs, they are kind of retreating a bit away from you, kind of one hand clutching a couple of wounds to their chest, but with the other one with that knife still kind of like sort of desperately trying to stab at you, which reminds me, they were meant to have knives, and I did not give the one attacking Elindra. Well, it just bit you. It was in the moment. That's fine.
It seems sufficiently goblin-y.
Absolutely, it's fine. So let's move on to those cultist attacks. So with that in mind, let's have the attack on Aaron first, I think. Let's finish this one off.
Okay. That's a 20.
Ooh, well then. That's not a riposte from you.
No.
So that's a fumble defense. Why don't you give me your armor roll, please?
Okay. That's 9.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I think that's even with. Oh yeah, easily. Can someone just check? Does anyone have a knife? They are D6 damage, right?
I think they are, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I thought. This one maybe it was trying a little bit of feinting and riposting of its own, and as it kind of staggered back, clutching at the wounds on its chest, you pressed the attack forward, and it managed to lunge for you and get around your guard with its knife, but the knife just... What kind of armor do you have?
Laminated.
Yeah, the knife just scores a kind of an easily buffable scar across your laminate chest piece. Yeah, you're fine. Elindra now.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 defense rolls, please, at a -2.
-2. From the goblins crawling all over me. That's a
That's right.
pass and a fail.
Okay, armor roll, please.
3.
3. So you feel as they're trying to kind of again grapple with you and rest you to the ground, you feel a sharp pain, kind of just where your your torso armor meets the straps of chainmail on your flank, and you realize that one of the goblins is kind of has their arm around one side of you and is just literally got a knife and is just desperately trying to work in to your chainmail with it, and has done so enough that you can feel, yeah, you're being stabbed for 2 toughness, which isn't very pleasant.
Ouch.
And I think that's all the cultists. So, time for the individual in the tree is going to spend 1 movement action to drop out of the tree, and the second movement action to start to flee, skirting along the edges of Blackmoor to the south. I will say that Ascarai can still get attacks in now, but if they get any more movement in, if they'll be lost to sight unless you chase them.
Okay.
So, on your next turn, you will get your attacks in, but other than that, barring chasing them, they're gone.
Okay, fair enough.
Steo, you are in the entrance and can now try and run and engage things. You probably can't get to Red Eye right now because the cultists are like, the moment either Arin or Alindra are not faced with someone can get to Red Eye, essentially. Arin is facing 1 very wounded goblin, and Alindra is facing 3 individuals, all of them a bit wounded, and 2 of them are goblins that are kind of crawling all over and stabbing her and biting her, and the other is the large ogre.
So I'm going to move into range of the goblins that are on Alindra and get my free attacks from that, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
And these are +1 again still?
Yes, correct.
Let's go.
Well, I'd say you're flanking. I'd say you can flank them. So actually,
Okay, so
+3.
One actually makes it, and the other also makes it. An 8 and a 12 with the numbers rolled there. So flanking, this is going to be pretty awful. Oh Lord, I am so sorry. That's 13 on one, and oh my goodness, 11 on the other. Sorry, no, I tell a lie. That is 14 and 12.
Ilindra, you feel the weight of the goblins on your legs and clinging to your back drop sharply away, and almost makes you kind of lurch forwards. You heard them like gasp and shriek as Steo, you just step forward, and with 2 very carefully practiced thrusts, both of which you make very careful not to go too far with, you just pincushion the goblins clinging to the back of Ilindra, and they drop away to the floor of the tent, dead as dead can be. No, we still have 1 cultist left. I tell a lie. Anton, I would say, I don't think we asked, but if we had asked, because you attacked last round, right, and finished off that last cultist, would you have used your movement to get halfway to the tent?
Yeah, that's where I was heading, yeah.
Cool. I would say you have seen Ascarai fire off 2 arrows at a tree and then saw an individual drop down from it and start to run away. So it's up to you what you want to do with that. I would say that individual is probably 3 movements away from where you are, so you can't catch up with them and hit them. But if you did want to chase them, you're slightly better placed for it right now than Ascarai is, or you can head into the tent, or do anything else you want.
Yeah,
I'll sit down, have a rest, whatever.
I'll chase the guy who's just dropped out of the tree.
Okay. Can you give me? Well, at the moment, let's just say you're just behind them as you're kind of like dashing over towards them, and then once you start to give chase properly, we'll have like an opposed quick roll and stuff. But at the moment, as I say, they just seem to be kind of running down the edge of Blackmoor, kind of like skirting the edge of the camp and running to the south. So Red Eye is again going to fire at Arindar. Arin, can you give me a defense roll at +1, please?
That is a success.
Okay. Fantastic. So, another small ill-made crossbow bolt goes whistling past you, but does not hit you. You hear loud, frustrated, and extremely virulent cursing. Can you make a cunning roll for me, please?
Yes. That is a fail. I needed a 7 and you only got 13.
Sure, never mind. Background to the beginning, Ascarai. Bet you're hoping you get that pinning roll here, right?
Yeah, or
Just
maybe
kill them.
yeah, something better. I'm definitely gonna take a couple of shots at this guy trying to run away. I think you said it was
The defense is flat, so yeah.
okay, and he's no longer in the tree, so no.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not going to put the branches in the way.
Okay, I got a 5 and a 7, so it hits. And for damage, I got an 8 plus 1 is 9.
9. Okay, that is definitely over their pain threshold. Do you want to get another free shot? Or knock them prone?
I'm gonna take another free shot.
Sure.
So I got a 15 and a 14, so just hits. 15 is what I needed. And for damage, I got a 7 plus 1 is 8.
Okay. You take very careful aim, the burning still in your throat and your lungs kind of reminding you that you best make these arrows count. Both of the arrows whistle through the air and embed themselves in the fleeing individual's back. They tumble to the ground, rolling several times. But Anton, they are on. When it comes to your turn, you will very easily catch up to where they are lying still on the ground. Elindra.
What?
Just the ogre.
Can I move towards the tent?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just use your... Yeah, move towards the tent. Absolutely. Cool.
Hi.
Ogering.
Yes.
Ogering at a -1.
At a -1. That is, I rolled a 2, so that's pretty good. And 2 damage.
2 damage. That does not get through the tough skin of the ogre. You try a draw cut against it, and it's your blade fails to penetrate through the ragged Hessian robes and the ogre's tough skin. Let's say that it's been moving around somewhere. I'd say the robes are kind of coming off it now, and it's just kind of draped in these kind of like looped rags that are almost like whipping around the tent and causing quite a bit of chaos in your vision. Can you give me an accurate roll, please, at +1?
I have to fail one of these eventually. There we go. Yep, that's a fail.
Okay. Can you give me a vigilant roll, please?
Just a flat vigilant roll?
Flat vigilant.
That is also a fail. That's a 19 I rolled.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So we're on to the ogre, who's going to carry on trying to batter Elindra into the ground. Defense roll at -5, please.
Yep, lovely. So we need a 7. We roll a 15.
That's not a 7.
That's not a 7.
Armor roll, please.
Armor is a 7.
Okay. It's another one of those. This time the ogre kind of manages to weave round to your side and gets a big flat thump of that tree branch against your back. But again, the chainmail and your spine remain intact.
Cool. I'm glad that I stopped that swing of the tree trunk with my spine.
Absolutely. Where you want to stop it, really.
Well, I guess that's better than it continuing.
Yeah, continuing through and out the other side is the non-ideal situation.
Yeah.
Aaron.
So
this last cultist, eh?
One thing, amusingly, Sword Saint doesn't say that I can only riposte against melee attacks, but I think riposting against a crossbow bolt would be silly.
I think by implication it cannot.
Yeah. But if I hear Steo coming up behind me, I'm going to try and disengage. If there's room to disengage with this enemy and move over to engage Red Eye.
Yeah, you can do your quick to disengage for sure.
I'm gonna try and do that. It's a quick roll, rolling against 13. I roll a 4.
Yeah, absolutely. You can disengage. That doesn't take an action, does it? So yeah, and
No.
Red Eye is within a movement range, so you can charge over to where Red Eye is and try and strike at him if you want.
I'm going to do that.
Okay. First off, let's have a picture of Red Eye up, John,
Cool.
if you would.
Yeah, sorry. It's on the same screen as my character sheet, so I just need
No
to
worries.
move.
So yeah, as you come closer, you can see that as the shadows peel back as you can get closer, Red Eye seems to be a somewhat unfortunate looking individual dressed in cheap clothing, with ragged hair, redly glinting eyes, as if maybe the mild corruption of Davokar. The clothing is of barbarian clan make. And he also clearly was perhaps born or has been wounded enough to develop a kind of hunchback, and has an odd kind of gait as he desperately tries to backpedal away from you with very little success, and kind of throws the crossbow to one side, and raises instead to attempt to defend himself with. Let me see what. Oh no! Well, let's say he's got a knife.
Oh no. I actually
Can you give me 2 rolls, please, as you charge in for the attack here? First, can you give me a cunning roll again?
Okay.
Because Red Eye is still swearing and cursing in a very unprios-like fashion, very loudly. Seems to be an individual somewhat filled with frustrated rage.
Do you say a cunning?
I did say a cunning.
That was a fail.
Okay. Can you also give me a vigilant roll, please?
That's surprisingly a pass at a target of 5.
Okay. So the roof, the canvas and hide overhead of the tent is on fire. At the center of the fire, it is somewhat purplish, but it is fast spreading out to be just regular fire.
Huh? Okay.
Are you striking at Red Eye?
No. I think
time for an Arendar persuasive roll.
It's gonna be. I'm also wondering if I need to spend an experience point for that, because I have the impulsive burden, which is basically if I say I'm going to do something and then change my mind, I have to spend an experience point to change your mind.
Oh, if you're not going to hit him, then yeah.
Yeah. So I will
spend an XP.
And
make a persuasive roll, please, at just flat.
Okay. Target of 11. 10.
Oh no, sorry. I'm so sorry. I just realized that he has leader, which replaces resolute with persuasive. Sorry, it's a -5.
So let's fail.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
But say what you know. What are you doing? What are you saying to him to try and persuade him however you're wanting to?
Throw down your weapons. Tell your men to hand themselves in. Stop. They don't need to die.
He just kind of snarls at you and spits out a sequence of curse words, and tops it with something that sounds like, in quite heavily accented Ambrian, just you don't understand. I can't just leave her.
Who?
Now that you are, can you give me another vigilant roll, please?
That's a fail.
Okay, never mind. So the cultists, that cultist that you ran past is going to run up behind you and re-engage you with a flank. So I'm assuming if you're flanked, you don't get your riposte.
I mean, it doesn't. I don't know.
It would seem odd if you did, wouldn't it?
I mean, I've been doing the fact that I can do multiple ripostes per turn makes me feel like it's expecting me to be able to use it if I have
guess
multiple
so.
people engaged with me.
I guess so. Yeah. But you can engage multiple people without having them flank you. It's just if they get a chance to flank you, they will. But sure. But that's kind of our house rule. I don't know. So yeah, sure. Well, either way, they're attacking you. So that is a defense at +2, please.
Okay.
Sorry, a defense at -2. Sorry.
Defense at -2. That is a pass.
Okay. Get your free attack then, I guess.
Okay. It's worth remembering, like, that in order to do this, I do have to use my parrying dagger, which could potentially help negate.
Be pointed behind you where you can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's a 20.
Okay.
That isn't a hit, so that's a fumble.
So they get a free attack on you.
Yep.
So, and I assume you can't then riposte this free attack. Like, what does it say?
Right. Let's.
Because we're getting a lot of yeah, probably, but not actually looking at it. So,
is there anything from the beginning?
No. Is it Sword Saint?
It is. Sword
Yeah.
Saint.
So adept, which has the rules for riposte. A character can perform a rapid riposte. After one successful defense per turn, the character gains a free attack against the enemy. And then the master means I have unlimited.
Unlimited as in unlimited opponents or unlimited riposte?
The master can perform a series of ripostes and gains a free attack against the opponent with each successful defense test with no limitation on the number of free attacks per turn.
Okay, then. Well, then. Yeah, I guess you get another. Did we roll your defense for their free attack?
Yes, and no, not yet.
Actually.
I'm just about to do that one.
Yeah, sure, go on. Well, they're still flanking you because you haven't turned, so a defense at -2, please.
Okay, that's a fail.
Just goes around infinitely. Okay, in that case, armor roll, please.
Is 8.
Okay. Yeah, you feel their knife slam into the back of your mammoth armor, but it doesn't manage to penetrate. Okay, so we can remove the question mark off the initiative order now, by the way. And Steo, you are currently unengaged and in the tent.
Is the ogre the biggest threat? Yeah, I think at some point Alindra's luck is going to run out, so I'm going to take an advantage against the ogre.
Sure. So that is a roll to hit at +1, please.
Oof. 17 is the number. That's my accurate is 15 +1 from accurate on the blade, +1 from the flanking.
Yeah. Cool. So that is a attack, and don't forget the +D4 for flanking, please.
Again, it's another 10.
Right.
11 in total.
So you charge up to the flank of this ogre, and relying on speed and power rather than your old infantryman cautiousness, you sort of aim. You turn your thrust and your body into kind of just one graceful dive forward, essentially with the full weight of yourself behind, and the spear impacts through the side of the ogre. You feel it crunching and ripping, and emerges out the other side to transfix the ogre one side to the other. The ogre gives a deep, loud, low moaning noise and topples over backwards into the mud, kind of taking your kind of spear with it, but you can manage to kind of like draw it out and ready it relatively quickly. Can you give me a vigilant roll, please? Yep, the tent's on fire.
Okay. Fire.
So, who
And I
we
don't
got
mean my
next?
combat skills are fire.
Sure. You can actually remove. Ooh, we're getting a struggling to stream to Twitch thing, but can everyone still see us?
I think
Looks
it's.
like
Yeah,
the
I think
stream's still
Twitch
running.
might be having a bad afternoon, but let's see if
I think it
stabilizes.
went off, but might be back now.
It's definitely. It didn't actually stop the stream because I can still see it. And we're back. Cool. Network error. Okay. Hopefully people didn't miss too much there. Let us know if you missed anything. Did you miss anything in the chat, folks? What just happened is that Steo killed the ogre and realized the tent is on fire. Did we miss anything? Do we need to go over anything? Apparently no one's watching, but I'm pretty sure they are because they're talking in chat. That's just Twitch to StreamYard nonsense for you. Cut out at Steo being amazing. Oh, well, probably not then. Steo just realized the tent is on fire. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. So I think we can get rid of the initiative. Because at this point, at the point where the ogre falls, Red Eye is going to take a step backwards, kind of like he looks like all his strings have been cut. He drops the dagger onto the floor as well and just kind of sinks to his knees on the vaguely muddy ground and just goes, what's the point in fighting anymore? His shoulders sag and he just looks utterly defeated. And he's just staring down at the ground, perhaps waiting for the death blow. Outside, Anton, you how cautiously you approaching this still body in the in kind of the torn up grass and mud near the edge of Blackmoor?
Well, I saw him getting punctured pretty heavily by Ascarai, right? So
yeah. There's 2 arrows embedded quite deep in the individual's back.
And like, is there any movement at all, or is it still
none?
Yeah, I'm not going to be super cautious when I approach them.
Okay. They're swathed head to foot in kind of quite loose black sort of, not silks because that would be expensive, but like silk-like material, including a long cape and hood. You can't really see them clearly like this. Are you going to try and turn them over somewhat?
Yeah, I think so.
The individual is a woman in her early middle years, so don't you all feel foolish for being misogynists now. Yeah, she's dead.
Any like notable hair color, or like, do I recognize her or anything?
You don't recognize her from any description that may have been given. No, she has like sort of just sandy brown hair and just it's kind of nondescript.
And she's still holding like a weapon or anything like that?
She has a small hand crossbow slung at her hip. She also seems to have a couple of like small knives about a person, a few pouches, kind of like, medicinal. They look like medicinal pouches, and they're slung to the inside of her cloak.
Okay. Is that everything about her that I can...
barring a concerted... Do you want to make a vigilant roll and try and kind of search her a bit more?
Yeah, I guess, because like she's just so distinct from every other member of this kind of fight that we had, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Why don't you make a vigilant roll then?
Is it a flat vigilant roll?
Flat, yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, no, you don't find anything untoward or unusual in any way, other than the entire setup of the individual.
Yeah. Fine. Okay. I don't know if I would loot like that stuff because I don't really know what's in the medicinal pouches. I guess I would look inside the medicinal pouches, but like if it's like some unknown herb, then I don't think I would take it.
Sure. Yeah. So, as I say, the tent is on fire and it's spreading moderately rapidly. Marvello kind of steps inside, and Ascarai, you can be in the tent or out or over by Anton or wherever you want to be. at the moment as this happens. Marvello steps into the tent and kind of looks around, and like the tent is on fire, but not immediately in danger of kind of collapsing and burning everyone. And he takes a few fast steps over to where you stand with Aaron. And I'm assuming you haven't just run Red Eye through or something. So
No.
He kind of looks down and says, "Is this him?"
Yes.
He reaches down, and Gallimar makes no move to fight him as kind of Marvello leans down and with practiced swiftness applies some manacles, kind of pulls his arms behind his back and applies some manacles, kind of glancing up at the fire running across the roof of the tent as he does so, and hefts him to his feet and says, "Well, I don't know your true name, but Red Eye, you're bound by law of Mayor Night Pitch. You going to be any trouble?" Gallimar just doesn't say anything. He just gazes down the earthen steps into the ground as Marvello starts to drag him away. He calls out, I would leave this tent if I was you."
Hang on, I think there's someone downstairs.
He shrugs and kind of just carries on pulling Red Eye towards the tent flaps.
I'm going to head towards the stairs.
Okay, how about so Steo and Alindra, you're both in there. Asker, are you in the tent? Are you with Anton? Are you outside?
I'm in the tent. I was heading towards the tent and...
Okay. Steo, Alindra, Askarai, are you going to quickly try and go down the steps with Aaron or leave? Or you're not immediately in danger, but very soon you are going to be.
I was on the fence about whether or not to go down the stairs, but having seen Aaron do it, I would follow him.
Yeah, I agree.
Steo?
I think having done a head count, I notice our party is one member short, and I haven't seen Antom in a while, so I'm probably going to just get a full head count before I do anything rash, like go into the torture dungeon. So
Sure.
I'll probably sneak out of the tent and just make sure I can find
just have a look
Antom.
around. Yeah, fine. You can take a few steps out of the tent and you look around and you see Anton kind of hunched over a body. It's now getting quite dark. Not only is the sun kind of moving towards going down, but also rain clouds have come over very heavily. But you can see Anton, he seems to be perfectly fine. He's just kind of hunched over what appears to be a black clad body on the ground.
With that in mind, I will I'll probably call over to him and Anton, we're searching the tent. And then I will duck back inside and go down there.
Sure. Well, on that note, Aaron, Alindra, and Askarai, as you take the first few packed earthen steps down towards whatever is below, can each of you give me vigilant rolls at, let's say, a +3?
Am I still at disadvantage?
Yeah. Let's run it to the end of the session, I think. We'll say we're still in the scene.
Okay.
I failed.
Failed.
I think I made it. I rolled an 11.
Okay.
Save.
Yeah, vigilant at +3. So,
yeah.
Elindra and Aaron, you can't help but notice the smell. An odd, very kind of like sweaty, rotting smell is wafting up the steps towards you. Askarai, not only this, but as your eyes kind of adjust to the darkness down there's no illumination at all, but you can see something moving, something very large, covered in pitted skin and boils and like large, very smooth areas of flesh, as if great scars or growth has happened in a very short period of time. You hear just on the edge of your hearing, you can hear what sounds like a human's breathing, but ragged and deep and pained, and just a low moan of what sounds like if you thought what you were seeing was human, you would have thought sounds like the voice of like the inarticulate, unworded voice of a woman.
I will very, as quietly as I possibly can, say to the others, there's something large down here moving.
So I would like, basically, the tent is going to collapse in flames. I would, if anyone wants to get out of there before it does, they have to leave now, unless they can make a quick roll, in which case they have one more round. Or they could just try and stay. I mean, the tent collapsing in flames is probably it's probably not going to burn anyone to death, but like it might cause you some significant damage. So it's up to everyone who's in the tent, basically. Do you want to stay? In which case, make a quick roll and see if you can make an action before the tent collapses on you, or you leave.
So it's not like they're going down these earthen steps into a tunnel. They're still underneath the tent.
No, it seems to be a very rough. Sorry, yeah, I didn't really describe it. It's not that big a chamber, like a very rough earthen chamber has been dug out here. It's not very large, but for what it's worth, Ascarai, it's not huge, and it's mostly seems to be made up of this individual.
Okay, so basically, even down the stairs, if the tent collapses, we'll get burnt. But, like, it's not big enough.
Less so, but then if you're on the surface. But yeah, it's a pretty, dangerous situation.
I think having me outside to clear the wreckage once the collapse happens makes the most sense. So I will once again.
You're just going to dash out,
act with discretion, and duck out of the tent.
Alindra is fairly quick, but without a light source or the ability to see, I don't see what she can do down here. So I think she's going to.
Yeah, you don't know there's anything down there, so other than a horrible smell.
I know what Ascarai said, and Ascarai described it as large, which means it's not going to be easy to pick up and carry out. So
yeah,
I think
I'm going to leave.
I would conclude from what Ascarai has said that it's probably not an innocent person who needs saving.
Sure.
So I would leave and then watch the wreckage for if anything emerges.
Ascarai?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to leave and try and keep a close eye on if anything tries to get out of the tent after us.
Sure. Well then, Steo, you're the first out, and quickly after you, Aaron, Alindra, and Ascarai remove themselves from the tent. The city guard are still standing. You can see a couple of individuals kind of leaning or sat on one side, having their minor wounds tended to by other members of the guard. Marvello is stood there kind of like taking account of everyone, but keeping one kind of hand on Galamar's shoulder, who's just kind of on his knees, sort of slack-jawed, staring at the collapsing, burning wreckage of the Red Eye tent. As it collapses inward, kind of moments after the three of you kind of dash out of the tent flap of it, there is a great sort of eruption of hot air, and the entire ground around the tent kind of sags down slightly. And there is kind of a slight eruption of flame from the center of it. There is also a low wailing noise, like an inarticulate one. There are no words in it, no sensibility, but it's kind of starts up in a muffled sense, becomes ever so slightly clearer as the flames kind of like seem to be being fueled by something and rocket into the air slightly and burn like a small bonfire for about a minute or so. About halfway through that, the wailing noise slowly dies and is subsumed into the rattle and roar of the flames and the patter of rain on the camp. And probably the hiss of it hitting the fire as well. Any kind of semblance of expression on Red Eye's face is just completely gone now. He's just staring mutely and blankly at the kind of smouldering remains of the tent.
What was down there, Ascarai?
I don't know. I'm sure that Gallimar knows, but it didn't seem. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Just large and moving and making.
My mother. She was my mother. It's done now.
What happened to her?
He just kind of turns and looks at you with a very level, kind of blank stare and says, "The forest." And I think we will leave the session there, folks. If you've got any comments or questions, please sling them in chat. Thanks for holding on for us on what was essentially a session-long combat, and then with a stream going down to boot. But yeah, in the meantime, promo. We have a bunch of links down below. We've got links to YouTube and to Twitch. You watch this on one, please check out the other. Follow, subscribe, blah blah blah. We also have links to social media, Discord, and Patreon. Please check those out if they are things that interest you. We run 3 weekly streams here on Twitch. Shadows of Estrin is our current Monday night low gothic fantasy adventure. Wednesdays is Symbaroum, and Thursdays is Cincinnati Chronicles, which is our slightly high concept World of Darkness anthology series. Tomorrow we are about to start the first in the episode of the 3rd arc of it, which will be Mage the Ascension. So join us for just spell people and magic fun. We also have one-shots on the first weekend of every month, or usually the first weekend. We've run a bunch of those. Go check them out on YouTube. They're all on there. The next one is going to be provisionally on Saturday, February the 5th, and that will be Tales from the Loop, which I'm very much looking forward to running. It's a very good little system. We had subs and follows of various kinds. So we had a follow a few days ago from Just Me Michael P. Thank you. And we had a resubscribe 3 months in total from Sauerkraut Kid. Thank you, Sauerkraut. Very much appreciated. So what have we got? What have we got in comments and questions, John? Congrats to Matt on a Bengals win. Thank you very much, Sauerkraut Kid. Yes, the Bengals won a playoff game for the first time in 31 years this Saturday gone. I was over the moon about it and still am, but I'm looking forward to this coming Saturday with a mounting sense of dread, because that will be the second playoff game against the number 1 ranked seed in the AFC. So we're probably going to get absolutely hammered, but hey, first playoff win in 31 years. Very happy about it. I'm sure I'll talk about it more tomorrow in Cincinnati Chronicles. 42. Are there any abilities that bypass armor? Oh yeah, a whole bunch of them. So there's a bunch of like evil monstery stuff that bypasses armor. Also, there's at least one occurs to me off the top of my head for player characters is Two-Handed Force, which I think at its adept or master level bypasses armor.
Level 3 marksman also does.
Level 3 marksman, a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm very close to getting on Ascray.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's like, just ridiculous, obviously. Although there are also, you do get on occasion enemies whose armor bypasses bypassing armor, if that makes sense. So who will say armor bypassing abilities do not work against this individual or whatever. Like big bads, you know.
Are there any armor bypassing abilities that bypass armor that would normally bypass armor bypassing abilities?
Not that I've seen, but I wouldn't put it past them.
There'll be an expansion.
Yeah, that's the DLC. Next. Johnny! Hello, Johnny. Well. If I didn't turn up just in time for intimidation and killing. I mean, I'd honestly say that could be most of the points in Symbaroum. Definitely. Like if I turned up just in time for the horribly graphic description of violence. You put me through it tonight, folks. An entire session of having to come up with horrible things. Steve, optional rules: you can pay the GM £5 for a reroll. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm more than happy with that. Thrilled.
Sub for a reroll.
Yeah. Sub. Yeah. Sure. One from Mike. Cultist love a cellar. They certainly do.
True.
This is the second cultist cellar we've investigated,
Not really
and both of them
cellar,
had
though,
awful
just
things
kind
in.
of
Yeah. 42. This is what it feels like to be on the side of police brutality. Was that the comment someone made? I saw you look really, really upset at one point, Chris. Not upset, but like saw you be like, "Oh, was it that? Did you read that comment?" Yeah.
This is. It was just a whole heap of moral sludge. Like there was no good guys in this entire situation.
No, not in this element. Kind of on one, the red eye are definitely a danger, or are growing, will become a danger almost certainly if they're not. But yeah, it's still rough. It's still rough.
At the end, when I thought they were like hiding a monster, I was so happy that, like, you know, we were the good guys. They had a monster. Of course they were bad. And it's like
someone who's been corrupted by Davokar is a monster, right? Right?
Ooh.
Things are that black and white, right?
This was something just very uncomfortable about trying to discuss optimum police tactics in taking down religious extremism in refugee camps.
Jesus Christ.
Just Christ. God.
Moving on.
It's supposed to be fun.
Welcome to Symbaroum, folks.
It's Symbaroum.
And yet there are people on the Reddit who will be very upset if you suggest there's anything political about Symbaroum at all.
Is there anything not? But oh my god!
Even though the creators of the game have had streams where they extensively discuss the politics of it. 42. How big is this tent? It has 2 large individuals swinging long weapons plus more people running around. It was a large tent. It was like a marquee type tent. So it definitely was big enough for what I was picturing.
This is a multi-part.
Yeah, Mike, like a wedding marquee, I reckon. Yeah, exactly like that. Exactly like that. With as much simmering discomfort and violence. Steve, it's the size of 2 wedding marquees strapped together. Yeah, all right. All right. I hate you all. I'm not even reading these out anymore now.
Oh,
we're finishing on those, are we? All right.
No,
yeah, sure.
no. Hang on. Here we go for this one.
There we go. There's one that isn't mocking me. Night Bites. Looking forward to the Tales from the Loop game. Yeah. It'll be a good one. It should be a good one. Looking forward to that. Oh, we did have one just from 42 here, by the way. Has none of the PCs noticed Elindra's sorcerer's powers? I don't think any of. I think, and this is I'm just randomly trying to do this here. I think the only one who I thought might, the only 2, who I thought might clock that Revenant Strike is a sorcerer's power were Anton and Steo. And I think when they first saw it, I made them both roll cunning to see if they recognized it. I could be making this up off the top of my head, and I think that either they both failed or one of them succeeded and just went, well, I'll hold on to that.
So I recall Steo does tend to have a don't ask, don't tell policy when it comes to flaming weaponry. But also Steo operates on a list of problems, and certain problems just tend to keep getting pushed down that list.
Sure, yeah. I think we did address it in some way, or maybe we didn't, and I'm just making it up. But either way, no one seems to have a problem with it. So.
I'm not sure that Elindra fully has a handle on what it is that happens.
No, I think we have. I think we discussed it a little bit on Discord this week when someone asked the question. But yeah, don't worry. It's not like we know it's sorcery, and we know it's not something Elindra is meant to have. Secrets are meant to be revealed.
Also, like
in
the midst of battle, wasn't really the time to address it. Perhaps, hang on, Red Eye, we've got something to talk about here. Elindra,
I mean, I think you've seen Elindra use it. I think you've seen Elindra use it before, but yeah. Like, I didn't mean in this session I made you roll cut. Like, I think from way back at
session 1 or 2.
Or something like that. Oh, there we go. From Nightback. Hey, maybe I'm right. I seem to recall that when I was binge watching to catch up, I think Anton failed the roll and Steo passed, but shrugged it off as not important. Yeah, that is indeed what was in my head. That like Steo was like something weird about that, but has kind of filed it away as something for later. Like probably not important.
Nothing if not a pragmatist. If the strange culty lady is hitting the other strange culty ladies, other strange culty people, then we're even for now.
We're fine for now. Cool.
We'll only raise it in conversation when there are consequences. For instance, when a tent burns down.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So thank you so much. Thank you to my wonderful players, as always. We'll try and have an entire session without combat next week. And then, thanks to everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week for more Symbaroum. Stay safe and take care, folks. Bye-bye.